Hello, buddy. I got a bombshell for you today. Just found out. So let's get down to business. Look, okay, well, first off, remember the other day there was a murder in the downtown park? The park was called Park of Peace. The irony of that? Well, it looks like two individuals were arrested for that one. And no, this is not the main news. The bombshells are coming. Believe me. Let's get this one out because we're going to learn something important. Jeremiah Valentin, 43, a resident of downtown, and Brandon Rubens Dezulme, 19, from Montreal North, were both arrested on Wednesday and accused of murders. They killed, or Valentine is suspected of killing Abdek Kennedith Ibrahim, 33, last Tuesday in the Park of the Peace near Saint Laurent, in downtown, basically. I'm going to see if we can skip all of this. So who is Valentine? He's saying here, in 2009, he was condemned to prison without parole for 12 years for the non-premeditated murder of an adolescent that happened in Toronto at the end of 2005. Crazy, huh? So it took like 4 years to solve. They gave him 12 years without parole, and that was in 2009. So we're to 2025. It kind of makes sense. I was expecting this to say since 2017 or something, because you know how Canada works, but maybe it did work out legit the way you'd expect it to. But now there was the other guy, right? The Zulme, for his part, is accused of having killed Mohamed Islam Ben Galab on the 27th of June in Montreal North at 9:15 that night. The cops arrived on Maurice Duplessis, which is an infamous street in Montreal North, well known. That's where the action is. So that's where the action happened. And they found a person hit by at least one projectile, and the person was injured. They brought him to the hospital, but he passed away. So that makes it two murders. And he was inside of his vehicle when it happened. We don't know the motive of the crime. Now, the Zulme's background. Now, the other guy, it says he went in front of the court when he was younger. He was accused of breaking and entering, assault, robbery, and breaking conditions. On the 11th of July of 2025, him and another individual, Jonathan Mason, 19, would have been implicated in an exchange of gunshots between two vehicles. Dude, we spoke about that like on the last episode. Remember, we talked about two vehicles that they were shooting at each other on the street, but then they said no one was injured, and then I think the cops nailed one of the vehicles that was in Laval. Maybe he was let go there or something. Remember, we just read about this. So Jesus, everything ties together in this sense. The killing in the park in downtown that we covered, I think, even on that episode itself, if not the episode before. And then this right here, when we just recently found out with two vehicles, they didn't know who it was, but they were shooting at each other. And then we heard that a woman and a guy were arrested because they were in one of those vehicles, something like that. But it's crazy. Now you know that one of these two vehicles, the other one probably, you had these two guys implicated in that also, or at least one of them. Crazy, man. So they were wrecking carnage on the streets. What else do we have? Dezulme has equally been accused of attempted murder, discharging. Of course, crazy how quickly that solved. Huh? That they solved that one pretty quick, man. So here, just want to check here. So it says a member of a gang avenged a couple of weeks later murder of a rapper in Toronto. So I snuck this one in. I kind of read it in advance. A Montreal guy gets killed in Ontario, Toronto. He got murdered over there. And now they're saying that could have been vengeance. His death in Ontario was a vengeance. A rapper of Montreal. The death of a rapper of Montreal happened on Thursday morning in North York, in Toronto. And that would have been a vengeance for the assassination of another gang member or something like that. That happened 2 weeks ago in Brossard. That's the South Shore. Kashif Jamal Bentley Jean, 28, alias Lil Bentley, killed by rounds Thursday in the region. And the murder of the person in Brossard was Cédric Bélizaire, 27-year-old. It happened on the 2nd of July in a park. Again, in a park. I'm a little perplexed if it's the same park where we read there were... No, I mean, probably not. There was another part... No, that's not it. Sorry, I was going to confuse it with another story. So, they're saying Bentley Jean was inside of the park when the murder of Bélizaire happened, and that he was a person of interest. And the cops are adding that Bentley Jean, the guy who just got killed in Ontario as vengeance, right, was armed and dangerous, and that he was subject of a warrant. They were looking for him. And that he had been localized. No, if he had been localized, we would have arrested the guy. So, yeah, he was wrecking carnage on the streets also. Crazy, man. We have a third person like this, but there's probably plenty more. But I'm talking about that popped up in the news lately. He's known as an individual tied to gangs, they're saying. They said that he had an altercation with the victim on the night of the 2nd of July in this park when there was a party. And it was Bentley Jean that had committed that murder. And that he even announced it on social network the following day. What an idiot. What an idiot. It seems that Bélizaire and Bentley Jean were at next. I guess they were at odds for a very long time. And it had something to do with... Looks like Bentley Jean got jumped when he was incarcerated at Bordeaux, its prison. In 2023, Bentley Jean got jumped, and when he saw him at the party, I guess it was revenge time. So you know what I mean? He lingered until the day of the park. Once liberated, Bentley Jean, who got jumped in prison, right, would have regularly driven to Ontario and Quebec since that event. So he was a regular visitor of Ontario, going back and forth. Bentley Jean was killed with several rounds of bullets at 6:15 in the a.m. Thursday when he was inside of a parking lot in a commercial center in Yorkdale, near the entrance number 3. For those of you who visit that shopping mall. One or more individuals approached him and opened fire tens of times. So I'm just wondering, like, how does this work out? You got beef in Montreal, and the guys had to know you were there, or the guys had to follow your car when you did go there, or maybe they just, I don't know, you were using Snapchat, whatever they call it, whatever it is these days, I have no idea. Instagram, you used it, and they figured out where you were, or you have friends in Ontario who know who have the same friends as you back in Montreal who want to kill you. Something like one of these 3 variations, in my opinion, so far. Because how did they get him in Ontario, man? You know what I mean? That's the question here, or if it's related to that, right? But they're saying it's related to that. They think the cops believe so, or the news reports believe so. And so, you know what I mean? It's not like they're not saying, because I would have thought he just, he's young and brazen, and he went to Ontario, and he wants to be, he wants to be tough, he gangster and all that, and he got, and there's no shortage of shooters in Ontario. 16, 17-year-olds willing to pull the trigger to get back at you. So I would have thought, something happened in Ontario, he got popped there. That's not what they're saying here. So it means someone from Montreal wanted him dead, and I don't know how they set that up. Now, Bélizaire, as to him, so they were talking about the victim who got shot in the park, and the guy who they know who shot him, who now got shot in Ontario, right? So the victim was Bélizaire, the one in the park. Bélizaire himself was hit by rounds at 11 p.m. in that park party, right? On the 2nd of July. He passed away, we know that. The crime happened after a party that was held to underline the anniversary or birthday of an influential member of Zone 43, a street gang from Montreal North, considered by the police as an emerging group that's attempting to take more and more place grab power inside of the Montreal underworld. There you go, man. I didn't see this part because I just glanced at it quick. But I told you we were going to learn something. So there was a party over there for Zone 43. Remember? They were all congregating there. Belizaire went there and he saw his old foe, and his foe shot him. And then those guys at the party who are friends with Bentley Jean, well, no, my apologies. The friends with Belizaire, somehow they got angry, I guess, and they managed to set. Yeah, I guess now it makes more sense. They're all friends. They were all hanging out with the same peoples. So someone knows someone. Your friend knows my friend. We hate each other. But then it's easy for the word to go out where you keep going to Ontario. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe even make a call over there, and some people from Ontario could get you. Because you have the same friends, the same circles, they can just get you like that. So you see how it makes sense. They all went to that same party. It's all tying together, in my opinion. Cédric Belizaire, the victim in the park, was known by authorities. He was at the heart of attention that was opposing two gangs of enemies from the north of Montreal. His nickname was Balou. He was considered by the cops as a member of the pop team. We heard about the pop team before. I think, don't quote me on this, don't quote me, I could be completely mixing it up. They may have even alluded to this in rap videos. There was rap videos where two groups were dissing each other, and I think, and they were displaying pop team or something like that, and I guess it was referring to this, if I'm not confusing something in my mind. You know, there's just too much stuff to remember. So Balou, considered by the cops as a member of pop team, and you understand what pop team is supposed to mean. The team that does the shooting, basically. A gang of Montreal North. He had already got into problems for pimping before. According to our information, Bentley Jean, the guy who just got killed in Ontario, who was against Belizaire, Bentley Jean founded with others a street gang, Red Allegiance, called AI, or is it? I think it's AI, right? But I guess yeah. I don't think they made a mistake. I think that's I think that name is funny. You know, AI is overused these days. I was hoping it was A1, but I guess it's AI. So he formed a group called AI, which would have been present, but in the west of the city, but equally they say in Toronto. So I guess that's why he kept going there. And if you wanted to see what he looked like, I guess this is Bentley Jean. So there's another article. We're not going to read it. Same story, right? Here you have the picture of them driving this luxurious vehicle, pimped out, I guess. And you see the necklace with the picture of their dead homies. You see, I don't know what this sign means anymore. They used to mean the devil or something. Face blocked off, hidden. That means I'm a shooter. And the jewelry, I guess, if they're not fake, that's got to be expensive. You have him himself in the middle, wearing those big glasses. I'm assuming they all like Gucci or stuff like that. I don't know if it is. What else could we see? You could see he's wearing red, if that makes sense with his group allegiance, which I think we just read about. They said it was red. And then you have is that a wing chain? I guess it's sort of a throwback to Dipset for me, if those who remember Dipset. But I don't know. These guys are kids. They were still under. I guess they were still under four knees back then. But they watched one too many rap videos, and we have this today. But the most intriguing of all this, to match the luxurious vehicle, is the stacks of money, which is obviously not fake, on his right hand, holding it like a baby in his hands, posting for this photo. You know, we live in this generation now. You could not have made it more easy for the police to look at you when they see you have no income. They see you're not self-employed. You don't have anything like that. They look at your tax returns. It's not hard or rocket science. And then you take a picture like this. You know. Instead, what you should be doing, in my opinion, here's an outlandish idea. Look like you're a church boy. Look like you're going to church on Sundays. When they trail you, you drive a Toyota, but you have money. Then and you baffle them, you know. But no, that's not what people do. You know, if cops were trailing me, supposedly, I would have, just an idea for myself, I would have been, Sundays, they would have trailed me to a church. That's where they would have trailed me. They would have been confused as hell. What doesn't this all doesn't make sense? Rather, the guys, they do the opposite. They even murder people. I guess that's what we just heard. He murdered someone, and the next day he gloated about it on whatever Snapchat, Instagram, whatever the kids use these days. And okay, is there anything else that you guys noticed in this photo? I guess I squeezed as much as I could. All right. Oh, look, they blocked this. If I click on it, does it give me something? No, it doesn't give me anything. This is all I got. I think that's it. Where are we? All right. I guess we're gonna go to the main story, guys. The main story. Look at this one. Do you remember Davide Barberio? Do you remember him? I recall they said he was the street boss for the mafia. There was a point where there was the mafia wars. They split in two. You had the Sicilians on one side. You have the Calabrians on the other side. It seems like he was one of those that may have switched up. Or, that was what we read in newspapers. So don't blame me if it's wrong. That's what I read with you guys. A long time ago, the very beginning of this channel. And then we read that at a certain point previously, before the channel existed, they tried to off him in front of his home. And I made a video. There was a video. I think I told you guys that was pretty disappointing to see. He was maybe playing with his kids or something like that, tucking his kids in the car. I don't know. And then heartless people did something like that to him in front of kids, So that was horrible. But they definitely tried to kill him. They sent a hitman to come kill him. But he's not dead. I think he did get popped. But he didn't die or nothing like that. And after that, business as usual. Okay, I guess that's as far as I can remember from this dude. Give me 1 sec. My apologies. I dropped something. All right. So, fresh news. The chief of, I'm just translating, the chief of the discipline of the mafia, Mtl Mafia, would have lost his nerves or would have had a burst of emotions, anger, on an employee of 16 years of age inside of a cinema. Davide Barberio would have assaulted the victim because of a conflict implicating his son. What the hell happened here? Let's see. Maybe the the other kid got into a fight with his son. That's so far what I seem to understand, but didn't say it. David Barberio, the presumed chief at the head of the chief of a discipline at the heart of the mafia, Montreal, is suspected of having hurt a minor inside of a Guzzo cinema in didn't give us. I don't know the neighborhood. Boulevard. I think it's Saint Leonard. Okay. So they're saying that currently he's accused of murder, and he is suspected of having hurt a minor inside of a cinema that was asking his son to stop doing something. Or I guess the employee is working there, and maybe I don't know. Maybe the movie's playing and you're arguing with someone, and they come and they tell you to please be quiet, or I don't know, you're not allowed to use your phone right now. Whatever it is, the employee had to tell his son something. I'm assuming so far. Let's keep reading. So there's accusations of assault that is being placed on David Barberio in the last few days. He must appear in the courthouse. Okay. The 45-year-old man would have committed an infraction in November. It was a while ago. And it happened in Saint Leonard neighborhood. By the way, the original neighborhood of the Italian immigrants that came to Montreal, and the original HQ of the mafia before all of this, generations and generations ago. It's just a coincidence. But according to our information, a conflict would have erupted between groups of young people, of which his son was part of one of them, and between the personnel of the establishment. They would have possibly been turbulent inside of a cinema hall, so inside the room where you're actually watching the movie. So it would make sense that they would approach you and ask you to be quiet, please, not to ruin people's show, right? And in order to defend his heritage, or his son, Barberio would have then got mixed up and would have hit an employee of 16 years of age. He did not get any strong injuries, though. The police of Montreal finally were called to intervene at approximately 7:30. Barberio was arrested on the scene. The cops were damn happy about that. It was like you landed on their lap. But quickly released for his court date. Now, they're going to past what happened, who's Barberio, things like that. Ironically, David Barberio was charged in directing the activities of collections of debt and to ensure the discipline within the Mtl Mafia. As we have, it says, as this newspaper has reported recently. He is known as the street boss. He is so influential that investigators went to him in 2021 in order to, I guess, get his help to calm down the game between rival gangs from the street. When Montreal North, we literally just read about Zone 43 and they have beef with another gang. We literally just read this. They're talking about the North End. And now we're finding out that in 2021, as these gangs were getting rowdier and rowdier, the cops went to speak to David Barberio, probably because they're part of his pipeline indirectly, and they asked him to go and speak to whoever to see if they can convince them to calm down because he's a mobster. Let's keep going. More recently, in June, Barberio was part of the big names in organized crime that got arrested in the spectacular operation after the revelations of Frederick Silva. We covered that extensively on this channel. The co-chief of the mafia, Leonardo Rizzuto, was arrested for murder. David Barberio, as to him, is suspected with 4 other accomplices in the premeditated murder of Charles-Olivier Boucher-Savard, which happened in December 2021. I guess that's the one, guys. Sorry. Attempted offing. And earlier that very same year, 2021, the mobster was hit by rounds when he was inside of his garage of his residence in Laval, in company of his children aged 10 to 14. So one of the 2 kids, I guess, that was at the cinema with him who was getting rowdy. And this is the situation I told you when he got ambushed, Mr. Barberio, that we read, so he got shot. He was transported to the hospital. Obviously, he survived. And this has got to be the... how did this happen? Sorry. It's got to be I remember we've seen this picture so many times. This is the shooter that came, right? I got to block that because you know why. And this is Mr. Mtl Souverain. And they probably arrested him. They have his name, right? The cameras of surveillance from Barberio's home filmed a suspect. And I guess that's how they got this clear picture. That's it. And you notice there was a silencer in the bottom right there. Mtl Souverain, 25, was previously, or after the fact, accused in the attempted murder. Yes, we did cover that. He is still waiting for his process after all this time, his court date. Oh, wow. That's the news. So, there you go. Assaulting kids. That's where we're at now. Next one. Since the arrest of Ice-Pick Turmel, sympathizers of the Hells Angels are more visible. So, they're taking back control, I guess. 1 week ago, the SQ intercepted Hells Angels that had just finished eating in a restaurant in Val d'Or. According to the police, the bikers were going for the Canada Run. Let's keep going. On the 7th of July, that's when it happened. Let's see. Maybe we can skip this unless we learned something. I guess we'll still look at it. In last May, members of a sub-club and their godfather, which is a member of the Hells Angels of the Three River chapter, were seen wearing their vests in a bar in Saguenay. In last April, 3 individuals tied to the Marauders and one was wearing his vest inside of the restaurant in a restaurant in Laval. Beat up savagely a client. The three men were arrested and accused. The marauders are godfathered by the Hells Angels section of Montreal. And I think we did read that one where they beat someone up. Now here's a picture. I love pictures. So à droite here, to the right here, you got Michael Job. He was present at the funeral on the first, I guess, Gregory Woolley's funeral. That's it. So this is a picture of the funeral of Gregory Woolley. People outside. So Michael Job, whoever he is, there you go, a close friend of Jean-Philippe Célestin, which was the marauder, right? Who got patched. It was Gregory Woolley's friend back then. So they're saying that Michael Job, who's Jean-Philippe's friend, was arrested and accused recently for the beat up at the restaurant in Laval. Okay. So far, so good. But we're talking about BFM. Oh, not yet, are we? No, we're talking about, since the arrest of BFM leader, the sympathizers of the Hells Angels are more visible. Gotcha. Now, for many years before and after Operation Shark UC 2009, it was rare that we hear talking about bikers. They would just use their patch. This is just my interjection. You would only really see them on their patch on their annual runs or things like that. But it seems like it's changing. Now they realize, after they recruited a bunch of people from the ethnic community, out of my opinion, out of necessity, out of understanding all the hate that they generated, all the resentment after all these years of supremacist attitudes, they decided to bend a little bit after they also saw they saw Ontario, they saw British Columbia. And out of survival, not out of the kindness of their heart. This is just my opinion after observing this stuff for many, many years. But out of desperation, in a sort. Desperation after they're being contested all about. They even had French Canadians leading the rebellion, and happily them recruiting all sorts of colored people and working all together and becoming a true menacing force. Now, after all of that, loss of reputation, etc., they started to wisen up, it seems, and they started to recruit as many they could, from all colors, but not into the Hells Angels. That's still an exclusive club in Quebec, It's too. That's going to be way too difficult of a milestone. Will be hard to swallow that one. But where were we now? Where were we? Sorry about that. I lost my train of thought. So now that they have all of this set up and they're seeing the gains appear, the return from the decisions that they're making, and that the cops arrested Ice-Pick Turmel, and the cops have been really targeting them more so than the Hells Angels, in my opinion, again. Now they realized also that they don't want to hide anymore. They need to go on a PR campaign. This is just my opinion, honestly. Just my opinion. It's not in the news. Purely speculation here. I'm only speculating. Now they're going to come out with their patches, and they need now to reverse the promo that happened in the last 3-4 years. They're feeling more confident, but it's also they need to do this, I think. So now they're going to wear their vest while they're driving, whatever. And now you will also see how much the cops favor the Hells Angels or not. If they will harass them even more for wearing those vests. Because I'm not sure if it's illegal to drive with them or not. That I'm not 100% certain. But if the cops, we will see the difference. If how much the cops were pressing the Blood Family Mafia and how much they will be pressing these guys. But they have been pressing them, to be fair. They had a lot of events where the cops were there taking pictures and trying to pin anything on them. To be fair, that's true. But we'll see if if this newfound attitude, the cops will decide to clamor on that. We'll see about this. But let's keep reading. The bikers have started to show off inside of bars and restaurants. Now, this is the cops speaking. Since the arrest of Dave Turmel, we see more and more patches in the east of Quebec. So we're seeing them. Instead of being secretive about it, now they need to show it. They need to reverse all this trend. So here you have it. Where are we? Dave Turmel is we're not going to... He's the one who's leading the rebellion, it says. for the last 2 years in Quebec City and the North Coast. We know he was arrested in Italy. The similar rebellion is occurring in Saguenay. The other boss, Alboivin, he's on the run, remember? He has a bounty by the cops. Was it 150 or 250,000? I cannot recall. But the Hells Angels probably have one for 500. I remember it was double the price. That's it. See, they're mentioning Alboivin. Okay, let's keep going. We don't want to repeat this. This is a quote. There are many members of supporting clubs, even the Hells Angels, that were targets of attempted murders and misdeeds. Commerces burned, locals attacked. We covered all of it. And it says all of this was occurring when they were not displaying their patches, when they were being secretive about things. However, since the arrest of Ice-Pick Turmel, we are noticing that these sub-clubs, supporter clubs, that we would see less often before inside of alcoholic licensed establishments or of festivals, we see them more and more, and they are less shy to wear their colors. Which makes us believe, remember, this is the cops speaking, which makes us believe that they want to retake their territories lost or to regain influence. You have it. There's the pictures. It says Hells Angels in the summer of 2024, last year, in the North Coast, while there was the conflict. So they were at a restaurant or something with their patches, wearing them clear as day. Clearly, the Hells Angels lost influence. This is a quote. Some of them are scared because they believe that, so they are taking these initiatives to show that they are all still there. Yes. But did they retake influence? That I do not believe. Quotes of the police. A coalition of motorcyclists. Here's a good. Here's an interesting. According to the SQ, only he specifies that apart very rare circumstances, you don't actually see Hells Angels wearing their patch. It's mostly their sub-clubs. Interesting, is it not? Smart. But they do still wear more discreet signs and symbols like jewelries and things like that. Their weapons or their arms, it's their sub-clubs, says Pierre Mathieu. I guess that's him. Yeah, the quotes came from him. Okay, let's look. In 2020, the Coalition of Motorcyclists of Quebec had officially registered in Quebec. 3 administrators are Gilles Grégoire, Robert Goulet, and Jacques Duguay, respectively members. According to police, members of the Brotherhood in Montreal, members of the Dark Souls from Montérégie, and members of Destroyers of Montérégie. 3 clubs sympathizers of the Hells Angels. So there's a coalition of motorcyclists in Quebec that was created in 2020. And where do you have it? The 3 administrators who are going to administrate this will administrate it at the behest of the Hells Angels, basically, if you want my opinion. But you have your 3 subclubs who are the administrators. Funny how the world works. So let's keep going. There you go. It says the coalition would be godfathered, according to our information, this newspapers, by 2 members of the Hells Angels South chapter and of Quebec. Now, the company, I guess this coalition that they're talking about, which is not declaring any activity, would at least in name be representing about 40 biker clubs, for a total of 700 individuals. Yeah, we're going to skip that part. The coalition is created by the Hells Angels. This coalition is the one that will decide which clubs can wear the letter MC on its back. The members of the coalition are obligated to meet once per year. They send 1 or 2 members per chapter. They have rules to follow. Who has the right, such as who has the right to wear the letters MC on their vest? I'm not sure what they means. Who's from what chapter? And it's there, I guess, at that meeting, that they settle territories, taxes, I guess, or revenue or payments, settlements, rules, etc. Let me just zoom this for you. The Hells Angels are using this coalition and their support clubs in order to expand their influence, says Inspector Chief Vivier, this guy. So, I'm trying to see if I can read it and skip somewhere. Oh, look, I guess we can learn some cool stuff. According to our information, there are actually currently 8 prospects and 9 hang-arounds within their 5 sections. I guess they're talking about the Hells Angels. Montreal chapter, Quebec chapter, Three River chapter, Sherbrooke chapter, South chapter. So within all of them, it says for all of them, they have 8 prospects and 9 hang-arounds. It's an interesting stat to know, huh? It's interesting. So 8 prospects and 9 hang-arounds. 8 and 9 at the moment. The Hells Angels do not have a problem of recruitment because in the criminal world, they remain prestigious. There is a certain stability in the number of members. After Charcuterie, which was the biggest anti-biker operation of all time in the province, after Charcuterie, it had fallen down, the recruitments. But it's still turning around 100, the number 100. I don't know what these things, is it recruiting 100 members per year or something? No, it's possible. I guess they just mean the total number of members at any given moment. I think that's what he's talking about. Now, quote, they take less risks in their recruitment. They recruit people that are close to them, either family ties or that they know for a very long time. We are feeling that they have tightened up their criteria. They do not recruit anybody, says the chief of the SQ. Now, recruitment is equally important for the sympathizer clubs, sub-clubs, puppet clubs. For example, he's talking here, the Marauders, godfathered by the Hells Angels chapter in Montreal. Among them, we find the ex-chief of gang, Jean-Philippe Célestin. And they went from, the Marauders, right? They went from 9 to 25 members in 2024. That's huge. That's like 2.5 times, right? It's like 2.5 times growth in a single year. Huge expansion, if you want to say that. Certain among them would have never even driven or rode a motorcycle. They had to obtain their permits in order to be able to drive one. And that's it, man. Now, the rest is just a summary of what happened with who's picked. So, man, we don't need to recap that. It's a very interesting article. So what did we learn here? Marauders doubled and a half members in 2024. What else did we learn? The Hells Angels, they indirectly opening a coalition of motorcyclists. They have 40 support clubs in there. It makes them look like legit, whatever. They also get to meet once per year. And 2 of the administrators are members of their support clubs, running the whole thing. And what else are we learning? It's the sub-clubs with their patches that you're actually seeing more and more out there. The Hells Angels still being more, they will still be seen a little bit, but not as much. They still want to keep it more safe for themselves. So that's about what I think I got from this article. And we know that I think earlier this year in a bar or something, Marauders jumped somebody. 3 of them, and one of them was this guy who jumped somebody. What else did we get? And that now they're going out and coming up with their patches, and it's not by accident. You know, it's not by accident. It's on purpose, After all that rebellion, this part is my opinion. After all the rebellions, they need to reverse the situation. They're feeling more confident. The cops did the job for them. The Hells Angels were smart, and you got to give them props. They didn't go on a rampage acting like barbarians or what do you call it? What's the word here? Uncivilized people. They didn't match the energy of the other side with the videos where they were, sorry, can't say the word, but teeing people. They didn't do any of that. You got to give them props for this, and but it's ultimately the cops that did the rest ultimately, and now they have to reverse all that damage. And as you and I know, they've been recruiting people of all colors, and I'm not talking about patches. And in order to, that's the only way to truly fight these street gangs. That was the winning formula. They applied it. Now watch somebody else on another YouTube channel start to say exactly what I'm telling you here. As he's been doing for a while now, stealing my ideas and then making it his own. Let's get down to the next video. The head of this one's the bombshell. Did we have another one? No. So guys, main story for the day. Absolutely mind-blowing. This is gonna blow your mind. What have we been talking about this past year, if not the Hells Angels and BFM? What's the other major storyline? It's been Arab power. Arab power terrorizing the city of Montreal and burning that building down with the of the lawyer who had that investment, shooting the lawyer's property, having by accident a woman and her kids that were tourists from France burned in that building. What else? Yes, sending out teams, hit squads to go extort commerces all around Montreal is what they are suspected of. But it is confirmed for the downtown area, and the Old Port area is 100% confirmed. Just my opinion, my observations after all these months, I'm pretty certain it's happening in Ville Saint Laurent. Where they are burning cars. I am pretty certain it's happening in Laval, in massage parlor shops, the chicken restaurant place franchise. I forgot its name. The one in Saint Dorothée. It's been nonstop. I'm suspecting these guys. My personal opinion. That's it. So. It's been Arab power all over the place. And then the one that blew our minds, when they suspect that kid that went to blow up the bunker of the Hells Angels or burn it up, he had AK-47s in the vehicle when he went there on a mission. An adult drove him. That kid from Montreal was just a kid. That kid, they think he was indirectly through another gang. But the gang that told that other gang to go do it was Arab power, the cops, investigators believe. So you see how this was big news. Now today, we get a major update. Because one of the leaders, actually two of them were in prison. One of them, maximum security prison, Younes Ataki, and he's still giving orders from prison. But the other one also giving orders from prison. And we found out that he was in prison for... they offed someone in Laval outside of a club or bar, but it was pre-planned. They didn't bump into each other. These guys went to do that mission. And they got arrested for that. They've been put in prison since then. And since then, he's been having a clown show in prison. He's been I think he was ordering drones to come do deliveries. Drones in prison. And also he was making a clown show of prison. He was ordering pizza. And imagine ordering pizza from your cell, just as a joke, and he was laughing about it and things like that. So that other person was Sylvain Kabouchi. Look at the news here, friend. The leader or the head of the violence occurring in Laval, one of the chiefs of Arab power, killed in prison. He's dead. You heard that right. Sunday, July 20th. Could that be today, my friend? Fresh news for you. By the way, hit the like and subscribe. Now, one of the chiefs of Arab Power gang that the cops are suspecting of having been behind the waves of extortions and criminal fires in Montreal would have been assassinated in Donnacona prison. Damn. Absolutely crazy. Wow, bombshell. I can't. This is a big news today, friend. Very big. Sylvain Kabouchi, who has been described as a true leader or head or front head of the violence in Laval, or behind it, would have been found dead this Sunday in the pen where he was purging a sentence for murder. At only 26 years of age, the criminal would have, I guess, run within the underworld, becoming one of the head leaders of Arab Power, a gang that had delivered itself to a bloody war without mercy against Jean-Philippe Célestin, a member of the Marauders, a subclub of the Hells Angels. Hence, he was purging a sentence, as we have seen, for the murder of Mtl in Laval, as I told you, but they say it's 2021. That I didn't tell you. I can't remember everything. He was continuing to operate from within the pen, thanks to cell phones that he was getting his buddies to bring in with himself illegally. Nothing to lose, they say. No later than at the beginning of the month, employees of the judicial system were alarmed that Kabouchi, amongst others, was successfully managing to operate like this in prison. Now, they were saying at that time, these guys will continue to do what they do, and this needs to stop, which was a prosecutor of experience who's not allowed to comment on the case. That's what she said, okay? A police source had confirmed that these criminals were covering almost the totality of organized crime in Montreal with their contacts, and that they had absolutely nothing to lose. Kabouchi was currently accused of being suspect in another plot to commit murder of Downtown Project members and their allies between 2023 to 2024. We remember that. Remember the war between two street gangs, and it also implicates Flamehead boys from Laval. It implicated two numbered gangs. I'll never remember the numbers. They just have like a gang name like 23, 24. That's not the numbers, I don't think, but something like that. And they made rap videos against each other and threatening each other and counting the score that they had. Like, I killed 10 of you. You know what I mean? The keeping score of it inside of the rap video, which made it even worse. But one side has has pretty much a lot more kills than the other. That I can confirm to you. Continuing that story. The murderer is suspected of having harassed and intimidated the family of one of the correctional officers in Sorel-Tracy. So that we also covered many times, the situation inside of prisons and how they would also burn the home of one of the prison guards, or was it his car? One or both, that was leaving work. And the prison guards coalition, what do we call it? Syndicate? I forgot the name, man. Union, they were complaining and asking the government, rightfully so complaining, that the situation's out of control and the government really needs to step in. Okay, continuing to read. Pizza ordered from his cell, as I told you. At the time where he was detained in RDP prison, I guess they transferred him to Donnacona later, he had used the legal process to complain about his detention conditions. Sylvain Kabouchi was complaining, just like Larry Amero in British Columbia was complaining that the water was too hot, or was it too cold? I think it was too cold. Things like that, that the conditions are too inhumane for him in Canada. Now, him too, he's also complaining. After everything he put the city through, he's complaining. Let's see what the complaint was. He does not have access to school, neither to a program, and he has access to no activities. His level of security has went up to a unreasonable level, they say, the lawyer said, for him. Kabouchi had equally complained to have not received his access to a functioning TV, and that the door of his refrigerator was damaged, or even that the air in his cell was getting worse and worse, air quality, he says. Now, all while complaining, he was dogging the authorities, where he was ordering pizzas from his cell phone, which he's not supposed to have, for his cell, in order to make the prison guards laugh. I gotta admit, that's pretty funny. Facing troubles that he was causing, the prison guards started to search his cell, not his cell phone, but his cell, prison cell, at least once per week. But Kabouchi seemed to have the means to hide his devices. Crazy. So that's the article. I was hoping we get more. I guess it's just too fresh. We're not going to have more than that. Wow. Now, you got to ask yourself this one question here, because we learned from what happened in the past. We can confirm right now, since it's been, maybe 3-4 months, we've never not had action. Since the last 2 years, since the BFM saga, we've never had no actions. Literally, it was non-stop, back-to-back. But somehow that died down in the last 3 months, or 4 months, or 5 or 6 months. But that's not real. That somehow is because the leader was arrested in Italy. One of the two. And the action dropped down to almost zero. Or let's say, if it was 100%, it's now at like 15%. For us, it's pretty much dead. We're so used to the dopamine levels, but dopamine injections. Oh, in that same regard, we have what we know as two leaders of Arab power. The two faces. The other one's in a maximum security prison, and it was him. The other one was this guy. He was murdered. I don't think he hanged himself. This was not a suicide. But what happens now that he's dead? Is the game over? Will it all the activities that we've been seeing, will they also die down to zero? Does that mean we're gonna stop getting news? Incredible. It was entertaining for us, but does that mean that we stop getting those blockbuster news every other week that we've been covering, and it just kept getting worse and worse and more crazy? We might, friend. This might be it. This might be it, friend. It's the same scenario at the other one. Two bosses, one half is either captured or dead. And the other half is, the other one, one is on the run. And look, he's not even doing much and he's on the run. We're not hearing about it. This one's already incarcerated, maximum security. Now, granted, they did do all this while incarcerated. Granted. But you see, the other one was outside and we still had, we don't have any news or anything. Could this be the end? I would have never thought, honestly, I didn't think it would end like this. Just like that. Poof, in a blink of an eye, our two storylines just may have come to a crawl. Now, that's a great point. Anthony Serrano says his cellmate might move up in Arab power. Fair, there might be someone else. We only know 2 names, to be fair. Maybe there are 5. Maybe there are 6. Who knows? But working with what we got, no other names really were given to us that by the cops or suggested or anything yet. And the greatest ally is Markens Wilvilme, who was charged with the assassination plot of De Schulde, the Hells Angel in Ontario, in that gambling operation, whatever. But he got arrested, and that guy's in a prison in Ontario. He's not going to see the sun. That was the greatest ally they had, the rolling 90s Crip guy. But yeah, that's it, guys. I think that's it. Well, the good news of all this, maybe, because of the Ice Picks arrested and this guy's dead, maybe, just maybe, I don't know, how many rights does this guy have? When you're alive, you have tons of rights, I would think. But when you're dead, makes me wonder if they can just go to his apartment now and start searching whatever they like and claim it's part of the investigation. We want to give justice to our friend here. So we need to have our hands in all his pockets, all his jeans and his computers. We need to have access to everything because that's the only way that we can bring justice to Sylvain Kabouchi. That means the cops, if that's the case, the cops are we're gonna find out a lot more things now. They're gonna start digging where they couldn't dig before. He has no rights. He's gone. Just imagine. Well, we'll have to see about that. We'll have to see. And the day they bring back Ice Pick Turmel, what will the cops tell us all this whole time? What they learned. It will be huge. It will be huge. All right. Thank you for watching. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to... by the way, I'll read your comments. I don't read them always on the show, but after the fact, I do go check everything, just because I don't want to drag the videos too long. Let me see here. DJ, what's up? How are you doing? Okay, I'll just read them. I can't do this to you. DJ, my brother, DJ, what's up? For those who you're not going to miss out on anything. For those who are just here for the news, you can go, I don't want to keep you hostage. Don't worry, I don't have something extra. But I just want to read those comments here out of respect, Marcel Mathers, let's get down to business. That's it. And thank you, DJ. I appreciate that. Sonny Prophet, Montreal's been in chaos since them Rizzuto busts a few weeks ago. Music Brazilian, what's up? Stefano Capella, hello from Alberta, Canada. Shout out to Alberta. Daniel Gould, of course. We got the youth for Mr. Forever Young. What's up, buddy? And Orville Henry, You gotta have that gangster ass name, The Haitians, man, they always have that gangster ass name. So freaking majestic. Mr. Orville Henry. What's up, bud? From Verdun. And you got Anthony Serrano. What's up, pal? From America. He's been here a long time. Appreciate Anthony's help. Sheriff of YouTube also. The Gang Life post and Crow Chat is pretty lame. I'm not sure what that means. Anthony, he's still the same vet, yet don't know what's going on. I'm not sure what we're talking about. Choppers, New York. What's up, pal? And DJ says, I'm starting to see patches everywhere on Highway 11. 518 Choppers. Lucifer, what's going on, pal? Bernita Tom. Oh, yeah, Bernita. She's going to have her morning coffee. Really? It's morning over there. Well, I'm curious, where do you live? That's crazy. It's, I guess, yeah, it makes sense. Because I woke up so early. For me, it's the afternoon. It's like late in the afternoon. It's not. It's actually just 12 p.m. I've been up since 4. I get it. So for you, it's probably like 9 a.m. or something. Crazy. Who else do we have here? Looks like a nice place. That Quebec pen. That's from Max the Youth. Bernita Tom says, I was not expecting to hear he died. Me neither. It's a shocking surprise. Arab power leader dead. Now, I missed the obvious. Silly me. I said all that, but I missed the super obvious, the most important question. Actually, this is the most important question, and you must have asked yourself, who and how did Sylvain Kabouchi die? How? Now, we're going to lean on he got physically hurt by somebody. Poisoned? Maybe. But I'm going to lean more on physically he got hurt by someone. What happened? Did they beat him to death? Did they shank him? The question of who did it? Did his own buddies turn on him and join the Hells Angels and the other side, basically? Or was it, if it's not his own buddies, or did someone sneak into his cell who was from the, what do you call it? What's his name? From Jean-Philippe Celestin's people, or the rednecks. Did they sneak inside of Donnacona prison into a cell and beat him to a pulp? Which one is it? That's the big question. right. And shout out to Chris Hensley as well, and Jesse Marasco. Almost missed that one. And Balzibuth. Quad Guru. Good, buddy. Not much, bro. Not much. Just chilling with people here. And Aggressive Bat. Aggressive Bat also. Shout out to Aggressive Bat. And Mountain Woman. Almost Mountain Woman jumped in. I would have forgotten to give you a shout out. Listening, it says, been listening while doing the weeding in the garden. Thank you. I appreciate that. And it's a great day to enjoy gardening and being outside. That's the best. Nothing beats that. And all right, and the silent bunch. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Thank you for joining. And yeah, do hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'm the one translating this so that you Anglophones can understand what's happening in this province. You know, I'm not using Chat GPT and praying for the best and then pretending like I knew what I was saying is true. I'm taking it straight from the source. I live here. And I've been remembering the facts and details and trying to put them all together on the spot. The first to do it. If you want to support my work, if you want more of this, because someday this might end, friend. It's just a pre-warning. Someday this might just be over when I get absolutely sick of it. But for now, join. Click subscribe, stay with us, and you never know. Maybe I change my mind. And we can keep this going. Or maybe not. Maybe all these stories are just going to dry up. Maybe they arrested the two leaders and the stories just dry up and it's over. What do you think? And it's going to be back to business as usual. Supremacists running the game, and that's it. That's all. What do you think? What's next? Anyways, man, thank you for joining. God bless. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mountain Woman, Anthony Serrano, DJ, and Max the Youth. I forgot my Man in the Middle. Shout out to Man in the Middle also. Thank you very much, man. And I keep forgetting the other people too. I have a bad memory on the spot. You know who you are, man. Thank you for being here. Have a great day.